So I recently upgraded my main fiber laser to this. This is the new ComMarker Titan 100 watt MOPA laser, and it's pretty impressive. And here's just one thing it can do better than most fiber lasers that I've used before. But this is just the start. Today I want to answer some core questions. First, can this laser actually improve the efficiency and profitability of my engraving business? And more importantly, does it expand the kinds of products that I can offer? But I'm not stopping there. I want to dig deep and find out what this 100 watt MOPA laser can really do. So come along for the ride and let's put this thing to the test. All right, so I'm going to start this video by saying that this is not your average fiber laser. This Titan one has a full 100 watts of MOPA power, which already puts it into a different category than most of the budget-friendly fiber lasers out there. But it's different in a lot of other ways too. You'll notice first that the power unit and the laser head are actually separate. So while the overall unit is larger, you can actually put the power unit on the floor and keep it out of the way if you want. To save some bench space and to make that easy, there's actually handles there that you can use to lug this thing around. Looking at the front panel, you've got the usual kinds of controls. There's a security key, the power button, the e-stop, of course, that you can quickly turn things off. And then there's two buttons below those to control the tower, to move it up and down. Rolling around to the back, a number of connectors here. The wire is actually the power to the tower. There's an enclosure plug. There's a rotary plug, which I'm actually going to show you in a bit. And there's a pedal plug for plugging in the pedal if you're doing production jobs. And I use that typically as a hand switch rather than a foot switch. Looking at the laser now, big knob for raising and lowering the gantry, even though there's power. Rolling around to the front, you can see the actual laser head, the two red dot sights and the big lens there. Looking at the main platter, it sits right on the workbench. And of course, my workspace has a number engraved in it. It took about 5 minutes to do that. But that's the laser itself. It's pretty simple. And now let's have a quick look at setting it up. Now I already have the laser together, but I'm going to show you what I did here. Setup was surprisingly easy considering the size of this machine. All you really need to do is put 4 bolts in to secure the tower and then mount the laser head on the plate and put 4 smaller bolts in. Now in my case, the laser wasn't perfectly parallel to the workspace, so I added a shim in the back and then tightened it down. I used a digital protractor to make sure that it's within a small fraction of a degree. After that, all you really have to do is plug the laser in, connect it to your computer, and you're basically going to be ready in about 15 minutes. The software-wise here, you can certainly use EasyCAD 2, which is pretty typical for fiber lasers, but the Titan also supports Lightburn, and that's what I'm going to use because it's, first of all, easier, and I also use it on most of my other lasers. Now, the setup for that is really the standard way you connect any laser in Lightburn. You click the Devices button. If you're lucky, you can use the Find My Laser. In the case of a Galvo laser, you need to load the configuration file off of a USB, and then set the dimensions, give it a name, do all the typical things you would do. In my case, Find My Laser works, so I really didn't have to do anything except load the calibration file at the end. And even that, the laser is actually really accurate here, but I'm probably going to do a proper calibration on it just to make it perfect before I do too much production work. So the laser's now set up, and honestly, I was expecting a bit more friction here, but it was up and running in really just a few minutes. Now, there's a few more details to be aware of here. There's 2 lenses included in the box. There's a 110 millimeter and a 200 millimeter. I'm going to use the 110 for everything I show you here because it has the highest energy density and provides the best detail. Note that there's some other lenses as well. You can go up to 300 by 300 millimeters, so check ComMarker's site for information about some of the other accessories. The beam size here is 0.01 millimeters, so this laser can engrave some pretty awesome detail. The frequency ranges from 1 to 4,000 kilohertz, which is pretty awesome, and the pulse duration is 2 to 500 nanoseconds, and the maximum speed here is 15,000 millimeters a second. So there's just a lot of configuration options. And with the specs out of the way, I'll show you something every fiber laser buyer cares about, and that's fine detailed engraving. I'll show you certainly some examples of the beam actually moving back and forth doing some engraving, but I'll try and minimize that because honestly it looks exactly the same as every other fiber laser, though of course it's probably faster. And I'll start with something simple without pushing too hard. I took one of these really thin metal business cards and I engraved this image of the dog. It's just a standard stucky kind of engraving. Looks okay. Then I did just a sample on a leather hat badge here, and again really crisp on leather. Now, this next one is a decent idea if you want to make something to sell. And in the case of the Titan One, these things literally take less than a minute to make. So what they are is pet tags for leashes, and they have obviously the pet's name, but they have a QR code rather than a bunch of information. And that QR code can point to some website where you have all of your contact information and whatever else you need. And I made one of those, and you can see it came out here pretty well. I actually did 2 passes. I probably could have got away with 1 pass. And that just looks awesome. And these things sell like hotcakes. So people love their pets, and they're willing to pay for these. Now, no coverage of a fiber laser would be complete without a challenge coin engraving, a good deep engraving. I did this one. This is what it looks like coming right off the laser. It's very clean when it starts, and that's because you have higher frequencies here to do cleaning passes. I took literally 3 minutes and brushed it with a brushing disc, and it came out, as you can see, really, really crisp and clean here. So this next one is a dog engraved on matte acrylic, and this is sped up, I don't know, about 20 times, but you can see it comes out really nicely, and the final result looks spectacular. Now you will notice a few bulges on the sides, and this is because this is the stock lens and I'm literally at the maximum workspace area here. In part, I wanted to show you what it looks like engraving into the corners, and it's obviously remarkable. So there's just a few simple examples of what you can engrave on a bunch of different materials. But the real question here is, I mean, this is a business laser, so you really want to do some projects that are paying, and is that actually possible with the Titan One? And of course, the answer is yes. I'll show you a couple I did here. I haven't had this laser very long, but I did a couple of paying gigs right away when I powered it on. The first one here is just a simple tumbler. It's a one-off for a physiotherapist, hence the angry look and the cutesy slogan there. I was very happy how it came out. There was dark engraving and no deformation. The next thing here was a much bigger project. It was a coin, shallow engraving coin on both sides for a family reunion, and everybody at the reunion got one of these coins, and the result here was great. I was very happy, and so was the customer. Now, I'll bring up just a static image of that coin again, just to show you, because the quality of that image is probably not something you're used to seeing with a fiber laser. And I'll probably do a follow-up video to show you how I created that image, because it's a kind of an interesting technique, and I haven't really seen it anywhere else. So I'll put together a video coming up soon just to show you how you too can make those if you have a fiber laser. So one of the key differentiators between a MOPA fiber laser like the Titan One and a run-of-the-mill fiber laser, we'll say, is the ability to do a few extra things. And one of them is color. Now, I know when I saw color the first time, I thought it was kind of gimmicky. But as it turns out, customers actually ask for this sort of thing, and they love it. And I've done a lot of things like logos, and here's an example of my own logo done on the Titan, and it came out very nicely. But you can actually build a lot of this stuff and sell it. So how does the Titan One perform, say, compared to other MOPA lasers? Well, let's have a look. Now, normally what you do when you're trying to figure out a color palette for MOPA lasers is you run a whole bunch of material tests. Now, I happened to luck out on about the 4th one of these. I found a really good range of colors, and you can see it here. It just came out really brilliantly, and I don't know if it was good luck or good management, but I didn't really have to try. And when I did that, I used it to do my favorite color engraving, which is Marvin the Martian. It came out really nicely here. but I didn't really appreciate how much better the color capability of the Titan 1 was until I compared this to another MOPA laser, in this case the ComMarker B6 60 watt, which I thought at the time did fantastic color. But when I put the two side by side, you can see that the Titan engraving on the left here, the greens are much more vivid, the whites are crisp, the blacks are blacker. It just made a whole much nicer experience. I mean, you gotta love color. It just never gets old, and it's a very easy way to sell particular items to certain customers. Now, the last engraving sample I wanted to show you was the use of the Rotary on a stainless steel mug. And I'm not going to build anything practical here, so I just took that same barcode that I used on the pet keychain. And I'm going to set up the Rotary so I have a 0.1 split size, no overlap. The number of steps per revolution here is 12,800, and the circumference of the diameter rather, of the cup I'm going to use is 60.5 millimeters. So that's really all you need to do. Then you can hit the test button and make sure that everything's working properly. And when I run the example, in this case, I'm just using a black engraving, and you can see it's pretty dark there. That bit of carbon that's sitting there will clean up with a quick wipe, but you can see how crisp and how dark this is compared to some other things. You can actually see a bit of other engraving down below. So one of the biggest advantages of a 100-watt MOPA laser like this Titan 1 is that you can cut metal with this. And it's pretty significant, actually, and I'll show you two examples. The first example is good if you're maybe making jewelry. Let's say you're making earrings. So what I did here to show you is I whipped up this example, and I have the speed set to 200, and the power I'm going to set to pretty close to 100, say 98. The frequency is going to be about 240, and now watch this. This is in real time. So in the grand total of about 4 seconds, I have earrings that can just pop out of one of these thin metal business cards. And then I can just take a dental pick or a weeding tool and just pop out the remaining pieces. And literally in a minute, I have a set of earrings that are pretty much ready to go. So cutting a set of earrings out of a 0.2 millimeter aluminum business card isn't a huge deal. You can certainly do that with a 60-watt MOPA. But let's say you wanted to make maybe a necklace or something, a bracelet that's a little thicker. Maybe you want to make it out of stainless steel, for example, and you want maybe 0.8 millimeter stainless steel, which is a lot tougher. So I set up just a quick light burn project here to cut out a star, and it's got 2 layers because I want to make sure that hole gets cut first. But you can see the speed here is about 500. The power is in the 90s. Frequency, let's say 40 kilohertz, and about 200 nanoseconds of Q pulse. And I'm going to make about 85 passes because, as I said, this is quite a bit tougher. I'm also going to turn on a bit of wobble because I want the line that gets cut to be a little wider so it doesn't stick together again. And this, again, is real time, so you'll see it cutting out here. And after those 85 passes, I can literally just take a dental pick or a weeding tool and punch it out. It's a bit hot here, so now because of the cut, this stuff is pretty smoky and dirty. So I'm going to do just a cleaning pass on each side, and you can see the radical difference here from one cleaning pass. And I actually did 2 passes, and when you're done, this looks like it was sanded with fine grit sandpaper, and there you go. You can actually cut pretty seriously thick stainless steel with this as well. So here's where the Titan 1 really starts to pay for itself. It's just in the variety of products that you can offer that you probably couldn't make before. You've got fine engraving for things like those dog tags I showed you. There's branding plates, intricate jewelry, you name it. Yeah, those are the standard things. The cutting power here means that you can produce thin stainless or brass pieces like pendants or custom charms without having to outsource that stuff. And the color engraving is always a premium. It's good for upselling stainless steel products. It's not something every fiber laser can do well, and it makes your work stand out instantly. There's also the optional rotary for round items. So think drinkware and flashlights, tools. These are all proven sellers if you're running an engraving business, and they're just good to have on the shelf. Now, from a business standpoint, the biggest wins here are the speed and the versatility that this 100-watt MOPA gives you. And those faster jobs mean that you're going to ship more orders in less time. And the expanded material range here means that you're going to open up entirely new markets that you didn't have before. Now, of course, none of this is magic. You're still going to need to invest quite a bit of time in learning the software, the light burn, how it integrates, and then dialing in your settings for each of these materials you're going to use. But once you get that all set up, this machine can absolutely boost both your efficiency and your profitability. And I was starting to pay for this laser on day one when I took it out of the box. So after spending some time with the ComMarker Titan 1, here's my take. This is a serious business machine. It's not built for hobby engraving, really. And honestly, that's not the point. This thing is raw power, and it's designed for big jobs. Now, if you're running a shop or you're ready to scale from maybe a part-time side hustle to full production, that extra power and material versatility is going to make the difference here. And it's something you can actually measure. Now, I'm impressed with how easy it was to get this thing running, and even more impressed with the range of materials and the fact that I can now do cutting with a fiber laser that I couldn't do before. So for my workflow, it's not just an upgrade, it's really a revenue booster. Now, I'll leave a link to the Titan 1 in the description down below if you want to check it out. Drop your questions down in the comments. If you found this helpful, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And I'll say get out there, make your world, and I'll see you next time.